What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I got some updates for you, and hopefully we can get a little more work done on the car. It's Super Bowl Sunday today. I have about 3 or 4 hours to work on this before we actually have to leave to a Super Bowl party. So let me show you where I'm at, because I've been doing a lot of stuff off camera just for the fact that it's so much quicker for me just to knock things out and then show you afterwards. It's not that, like, how do I say it? It wasn't that much information that, like, I haven't shared with you guys. It's just been so much work. So first things first, I want to throw the dash back in today. All the wiring has been completed that I wanted to fix from years ago, the way I did it. I don't know if I said it in the last video when we removed the dash, but the amount of wiring I had when I relocated my fuse box, I could probably put the fuse box in the trunk. That's how much extra wiring I had on it. So all that's been cleaned up. Let me show you. So here is what we look like now. If I have a clip, I'll throw a clip in of what it looked like before, like in the previous video when I removed the dash. But this is 10 times cleaner. It's actually routed nicely. And I want to show you a few key points that I did. Starting with, obviously now the fuse box wiring, it's coming in from the little hole right there behind the gas pedal. It's comes up, it's routed properly. It's not just all bunched up, and they all meet right here where we're going to have our fuse box located. All my gauge wiring is just kind of AEM, gives you a ton of wiring, and those go to the special connectors. So I didn't want to chop them and do a lot, so I just kind of bundled them up behind there. That's all bundled up, routed behind this mat, then goes up there, and then the other two right there. So I gave a good amount of slack. So you always want a little bit of slack when you're pulling items out. And our ECU is right underneath there. Now I showed it on Instagram. I don't know if I can show it on here. Yeah, let me see if I get it on the light. So I had got a Hondata carbon fiber ECU cover. It's one of those things, I know no one's ever going to see it, and I could barely see it, but it's just the little details that I like. So that's there. And a big key thing that I really want to talk about right now is this whole setup that's happening right here. So right here, it looks crazy, but it's really not. So when we first took the dash out and everything, I actually had an SRS module here. So what I did was I took that whole SRS module apart. I took the board out of it, I took everything out, and all that's left is the top part of the SRS module that bolted here. I gutted it because now I put my EPS module inside of it. The top cover of that SRS module is now a cover plate holding my EPS module, so my power steering module. In here, it's bolted down, and it's not just kind of tucked in like how I had it before. I just kind of reused something that was there. Now it doesn't fit perfect. I actually have a little spacer right here because it doesn't sit flush. The power steering module is a little taller, so this wasn't able to sit down flush. But it's got enough downward pressure from that bolt holding it down to where it won't really rock too much. I put a little bit of foam padding underneath it so that way it had a little cushion there. And I like that 10 times better. Now, again, if you're not following my Instagram, you really should, because I showed a couple things on Instagram that I haven't filmed on here just because I always have my phone on me. One thing being this new fuse box that I added, or fuse block. I'm going to call this a fuse block. Originally, I was always using these T-taps for my gauges. So basically what you do, well, not T-taps, this is an adder circuit. You pull one fuse out, put this in its place, and then you add the original fuse and the second fuse for whatever accessory you're adding. So I had two for my gauges, and I never talked about this on video. I actually have a video of it. If it's a video you'd be interested in, I filmed it about 2 years ago. I added underglow on this car. I've always wanted underglow. I just kind of said, you know what, I'm doing it. I really don't care basically what people think. That's always been the thing. Like, people don't like underglow. That's another story. If you're interested in how I installed it, I have all the clips. I just never edited the video. Leave it in the comments below. I'll upload that video. So I had my neons and my gauges all on adder circuits. And I just never really liked that. I just felt like if something went wrong, I don't know, I want everything on its own circuit. So I went on eBay I bought that fuse block, and all this fuse block does is it's basically now adding each add-on or each input on its own circuit. So if anything was to go wrong, it's not tied into whatever else this circuit was. It's its own separate thing. So I actually, I labeled everything. I got neon there, my air fuel, my oil pressure. This is going to go to the fuse box. This side is grounded. It's its own circuits now. And I like that 10 times better. And then you can also just label it on the top. Looks like the light's ruining it, but you guys can kind of see. Everything is labeled. I went over briefly about that on my Instagram. And the one last thing that I showed on my Instagram, I did a whole reel, was when you remove your heater box, you're left with a giant hole right under here. So this is when you look on your climate control, you'll actually have like a recirculation, which will close this vent, or fresh air, which would open it, and that's where you get your fresh air from, through the cowl. So you're left with this big hole down here. I made a reel about making a whole plate, a block off plate, and how I sealed it using weather stripping and everything. So if you're not following my Instagram, you really should, because I do little tips like that. So that's pretty much all the work I've been doing. The wiring took a really long time because I really wanted to. It's kind of one of those things. I don't want to take this dash out again, honestly. So I'm here. I'm redoing everything. I redid everything. Everything should be fine. And now we're just going to wait for Carter to show up so we can throw that dash back in there. So once he shows up, let's get that dash in. So Carter came through, and we actually threw the dash on off camera because we had a time crunch that we needed to get done. It's obviously a new day. So the dash is all, it's not all in there, but it's in there. And yeah, sometimes it's a lot quicker to do things off camera. But I am going to talk about real quick what we did and kind of like a list that I got going, because this is just more like an update video. So the main thing I wanted to get done was get just the dash in so I can finally get all this stuff going. I still have wires that are not hooked up to anything. That's kind of little stuff. I can take care of that at the very end. If anybody's noticed it yet, I'm not sure if you guys have, I don't have any vents anymore. They are completely blocked off. Not completely. I still have the one vent right there. That's in case I want to add an extra gauge to monitor some kind of pressure, another pressure. I don't know yet. You guys kind of figure all that out. But I took these vents out since I no longer need them, obviously. There's no climate control in here. There's no heater box. And I got these carbon fiber plugs, or block offs. Don't roast me, but I found them on eBay, guys. They were like $30. And they're literally they're real carbon fiber, little round plugs. You just double stick tape them. They work with the vent or without the vent. They also have a version where it's slotted. So if you wanted to keep these on while still retaining your AC, you could still use them as a vent. Really cool. Just check them out on eBay. I think it's RSX carbon fiber vents or something. Look something up like that. If I could find a link, I'll leave it down below. So I threw those on. That's good. Now let's go to the list that we got, because I had to make a list. I'm just kind of going all over the car too much. So here is our list. Some of this stuff you guys obviously don't even know that I have. I've been trying to keep it low key, but let me get a marker. All right, so let's go down. First thing, obviously, install dash. That's back on. Carbon vent deletes. That's done, and that's honestly the only. That's honestly the only two things that we did. So you guys can take a quick peek at my list. So with a list that big, obviously there's parts that I haven't talked about it, haven't shown you guys. I'll show you guys real quick my little parts mountain that I have going on over there. Not to mention I have this nice stainless steel bench. I finally have a nice workbench. That's a gift from my father-in-law. Already getting put to use. That's where I had my dash sitting on there. But yes, first thing you guys probably see besides the K-Tune box, coilovers. So I'm throwing new coilovers on the car. I'll go in depth with why I chose these, what brand they are, and yada yada. I'll go into all in depth when that gets thrown on. A lot of hard race boxes. Yeah, so we're doing, what is this, ball joints. I bought the Master hard race bushing kit. So every bushing, all the suspension bushings on this car are going to get redone, which I didn't talk about. I don't know if I did. Honestly, I'm losing track. I did buy a vise. Not a vise. What's wrong with you, Serge? I got a press. That's why I bought that press. So I can do all of these bushings, everything in-house. I got hard race inner outer tie rods, an SHG, a rack slider, new EPS boot, and things to basically rebuild our EPS, our steering rack. So I'm going to show you guys, it's not a full rebuild, but we're going to freshen that up. And that's why I have all that back there. Got new rear wheel bearings, front wheel bearings, not the spindles, the hubs. All of that's getting done, mostly with all the suspension stuff. I found this guy. I figured I'd give him a try. Valix Racing. He makes harder or stainless steel lines, but these are with a black braided coating on them. So this is for the rear calipers. And then he actually makes a kit from your proportioning valve all the way to the back that would hook up to your rear caliper hose. So not only am I replacing the hose from the caliper to technically the hard line, I am replacing the hard lines as well with all stainless steel braided hose. So it's going to go basically from our proportioning valve down there. I already have the front ABS delete kit. Those are not brand new lines, but they've replaced lines. And then I have the two hard lines still for the rear. Those are getting taken off, and we're replacing them with those. And then I just have speakers sitting back there that I've had for, I'm going 2 years now. I just haven't thrown it on. This is still a street car. I like to take it out on the street, so my speakers are crap. Some don't even work. I want some tunes in that. We have a K-Tune box here. This is their valve cover, so it's their raw version. I got to get it powder coated. So obviously we have a Honda valve cover gasket in here. That doesn't come with this. I bought this separate. And I mean, you guys have seen plenty of these before. Yeah, there you go. Just a valve cover. That's getting powder coated. The main reason why I bought that is because this car needs a catch can, which is up there, and I've had that for a few years as well. Just haven't had time to throw that on, and haven't had the valve cover for it because I don't want to drill bungs or weld bungs onto this valve cover because I don't know where I want to situate this. I have an idea, but having that one with all the multiple ports, it'll help me out. And lastly, if I want to throw that, that's if I get to it. This is going to be a fire extinguisher. I've always wanted one, just in case of an emergency, so we'll see if I have time to throw the fire extinguisher in there. And that's pretty much all the parts I have. We're coming to the end of February right now. I have March and like maybe one weekend of April to get all this done. It doesn't sound like a lot of work, and it's technically not. The time is the hard work. I need to find the time to knock all this out. Oh, and there is one other thing that I'm doing, actually. I just thought of it. I don't want to show you guys what it is yet, but I'll give you a hint. So what I'm in the middle of doing right now is gutting more of the interior out, the back of the interior, because I have to drop this headliner. So I think this will be the next video, but for what I'm doing next, I got to drop this headliner. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Let me get back into this. Should be the next video that comes out is going to be the part I did not show you, which I'm really excited about. But leave your guesses in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully that's the next video. Stay motivated and keep making those streets louder.